framework has to be set up. It has to be, again, business process I talked about. This change of digital transformation also has to be a framework driven. There has to be a way that how things will be done for every problem which we are solving, right? It may take longer, it may take more money, it may take less money, but the framework is same. So people are not, one variable is taken out, right? Because there are too many variables, people do get confused. You will yourself, who's bringing the change, will get confused. Your stakeholders, which are very, very important aspect to this, they will also get confused, and it is natural. So you want to keep things simple, make it predictable every time.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the GB Show. I'm in Bangalore today. Bangalore is known for the IT, startup and digital journey. So we are going to talk on a topic which is about digital first. How in any organization we can start the digital transformation journey, how the board or leadership takes or think about the digital first journey, how the adoption of the new product happens in any organization. So we are going to talk about a lot, including if there's a change, how to manage the security as well. So to have a conversation on this topic today, I have with me Ajay Chawla. He's having around 28 years of experience in IT services, business analytics, and innovation. We are going to talk to him about all the aspects of digital transformation in different organizations. He is currently working as CIO, CTO, and CISO role in one of the leading Indian global MNC. And let's hear his point of view on digital transformation and digital first journey. Let's talk to him. Hello Ajay ji, welcome to the GB Show.
Thank you.
So Bangalore काफी hot हो गया है आजकल.
I think the weather has completely changed. It is first time I'm seeing so much heat on the.
Yeah, for me as well. I think in 15 years, first time. So landed today, I'm feeling it's same like Mumbai or even worse than Mumbai at this point of time. I never thought about Mumbai like that.
Yeah, it is dry and like heat waves are happening now, which is very unlike of Bangalore.
Okay, hopefully maybe the next time when I visit it will be a good
soon, I think,
thing. But anyways, thanks for your time and joining us for the GB Show.
It is my pleasure.
So for my audience to start with, as I just introduced you, and I know you have all experience in retail, high-tech companies. Now you're working in one of the manufacturing companies, e-commerce, and IT services. So you have done a lot of things in your career of around 28 years, right? So you have been globally as well in US and Europe, spent time in different parts of India. But when you look into today, the definition of digital first for different organizations, different the startups or new age companies or the older legacy companies, what do you think the digital first is? And digital transformation, what is happening in that particular area? Maybe I would like to know the wider aspect of from you on this particular stance.
Thank you, Gaurav. I think it's a topic which is much debated or talked about, and it is a wide area and we will try to see how we can give justice to that topic.
Sure.
So first of all, thank you for the introduction and giving my background. That perspective of having worked with multiple industries, manufacturing, retail, e-commerce, high-tech companies, IT services, and done over, India, US, Europe, it gives a different perspective, and the world has also changed a lot. And being in India, working for an Indian manufacturing company gives a lot of leverage. And before that, also the startup, a lot of decision making is done here itself. That is one key aspect we'll keep touching upon, because that makes a lot of difference from where you want to do some change. Now, talking about digital first is just not technology. It is about how the company wants to change its perspective of using technology. So technology is the second factor. First part is how do you want to have your business processes changed. You are not just automating what is there today. Right, the first thought comes because Excel is a very fantastic tool, right? People use email for approvals. but you don't have traceability and accountability happening there. There is no system of records. So you have to figure out a way where the company decides to change the business processes to meet its future and current business objectives. If it is very closely aligned to the business objectives, then you would see a change happening both from culture perspective as well as the technology adoption perspective.
Okay. And so what things you are seeing? Because I think Bangalore specifically, the startup culture, and they are helping all the traditional organization to go digital first. And when digital first or digital transformation is happening, so what is getting transformed?
Yeah, fantastic. So I think let me take one example, and it is just one example, right? We will talk about more such examples. When I talked about it, just not technology. So you start talking about, let's say, the quote to cash process. It's a business process. It has a direct impact on your cash flow because the quicker you can collect your cash from the customer, the more money you have, and therefore it has a cascading impact in many areas, right? From the share price to paying the vendors, so it improves your overall balance sheet. Knowing this power, how much of your company is willing to change not just the automation? Let me take this example of quote to cash. For a manufacturing company, it might be doing multiple products based on what the customer is asking. As it grows in the maturity model, it would want to standardize certain products, because when the customer wants to ask certain specific products, it can have those products readily available and they can then order it. So I'm combining my manufacturing experience and then the retail e-commerce experience. Even though it's a big product, but you can still order it if it is standard, if it is meeting your expectation of whatever specifications the customer has, and it is almost near to the what the standard is. Then there is a dialogue happening, right? Of use the standard, you will get it faster, you will get it at a different price point. All those discussions are happening, and all that can be captured from a technology point of view. So different systems comes into play. This whole interaction in today's world can be captured. Summarization can happen on its own. You can define what are the key points. Action items can be said. So there is nothing which is happening outside the boundary. Obviously, some discussions will happen outside the boundary, but the system is capturing what is relevant for it to push it downstream. Right. Okay. So I'm just talking about how the standardization of product is nowhere. You're talking about digital from an automation point of view, but that's where the digital part comes in. You define the standard products, you put it in the system so that it is available for the customers to see. They can create the order in one click. This whole system flows. Then the production happens, and then obviously the dispatch and logistics around it. This whole thing, if you see, started from the whole idea of just standard products. Obviously, there will be also in the market, you are there in the market, there will be need from a customer which will be deviating from the standard product. So you have a parallel flow for that as well. But digital first thinking comes in that you are trying to change the business processes as well. And then you layer the systems to come in, how they talk to each other. The whole data information is happening in a standard way, so that it is also available at a click of a button. Where is my order? Where is my order? What is the status of the order? How far it has to, if any intervention is required. So these are decision supports which you are providing. Let's say during the COVID time, the logistics time increased exponentially for the product going from here to US, right? And then the events like Everglade and all that, which clearly choked up the whole shipping lines. Our perspective is that we are giving you a system with data visible. Now you're relying on the system. So you're relying on digital technology of seeing where my shipment is, how far it has typically taken, now how much is taken. So what interventions I need to do, right? Do I need to start booking ship containers earlier? Do I need to tighten my production further so that I can, so that I don't lose on the time which I will lose from a shipping perspective, just as an example. So you are getting the data visibility, you are making decisions based on the data. Not obviously there will be subjectiveness into it. That's where you have the heads of those functions, for example, supply chain head, They will bring their perspective, but they are getting a lot of decision support with the data available to them. So that is what, in my mind, is digital first thinking.
Okay, fair enough. So, like, earlier when we used to talk about it, we generally say it's a automation, and now we are seeing building the intelligence as well. And
Yes.
I think emerging technologies are playing big role, AI, IoTs, clouds, and all.
Absolutely.
So, is the business ready today? I know that COVID has actually pushed a lot into this, and everyone started looking into it. Are the things in place still? Still, business are ready to experiment, and they are giving that leverage to the IT and the CTOs or the CIOs of today to they want to experiment, or maybe they want to invest in these kind of technologies. How easy it is to convince, because I know you came from an innovation background, and you always thinking about what new can be done,
Right.
but everything new and getting it done is not gaga, right? So how easy it was for you to convince the business, and maybe in the market, what kind of
Sure.
scenarios you are looking into?
Wonderful. Gaurav, I think your question comes with a lot of experience. Thanks for bringing this up. It touches on the reality of what happens on the ground.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'll give you an example. A digital transformation team was formed in the current company where I am. And the CEO had that mindset, right? But you will imagine that we were joined in and we were all gung-ho about bringing the change. And we were already with the mindset that we have to be bold. We are here to make a change. And when change happens, it will ruffle. People are there, they have their mindset. My thing is working, why do you want to change it? All those things are natural phenomena, right? And that is where the framework of how do you want to take the change further comes into picture. I'll give you an example. CEO sitting in the room talking to his exco and talking about how this digital transformation team is come in and they want to improve things. For example, I talked about cash collection, and you should have seen the faces in the room. They were saying, somebody is thinking they are iterant. Somebody is saying, I've seen many like these come and go, and some were curious.
Okay.
Right? So you get all flavors. You have to figure out, who is wanting to go forward, who is, just playing along, but seeing that, things may not work out because they have seen experience for them also. So I'm not saying that they are wrong, but they come from a perspective which is different, 3 different sets of perspective. So you have to keep that in mind and play bold. When your CEO is setting up that agenda, then there will be challenges. Because the company has been working in a certain way, and therefore, when you want to make the change, there will be change management framework which will be required. And that's where it is very important that while the roadmap is being prepared, you start picking up solving problems. And you are now moving from reactive problem solving to proactive problem adherence. You are preventing a problem to happen, right? And that's a big change. So when you are doing that, the company has to have a certain set of framework set up, and you have to have quick wins. Because what happens is the company also changes, right? Today there is one set of people, tomorrow there is another set of people, and the company is a live company, it's a live organism, right? That's how it has to be treated with. And therefore, you need to have very quick wins to show what happens on the ground. So get things done is very, very important. Get things on the ground done, pick up problems which can be done quicker, solve them, show the proof of the pudding, and also then start building upon that. And that's how, I think that journey starts. I just gave you one example of it, and then the whole change management process.
Sure. And when you specifically talk about making the things faster, right, for any in the journey of digital transformation, what are the things which you think help to make it fast? What all you need to consider, or what all you need to be ready with?
Right. So I think typically, as I suggested, a framework has to be set up. It has to be, again, business process I talked about. This change of digital transformation also has to be a framework driven. There has to be a way that how things will be done for every problem which we are solving, right? It may take longer, it may take more money, it may take less money, but the framework is same. So people are not, one variable is taken out, right? Because there are too many variables, people do get confused. You will yourself, who's bringing the change, will get confused. Your stakeholders, which are very, very important aspect to this, they will also get confused, and it is natural. So you want to keep things simple, make it predictable every time. So a framework, for example, could be that depends on the company to company. For a startup, if there is funding, they would not talk about budget, but they will directly jump into the solution part. For a traditional company, they may want to go through the process of making sure that you have defined the budget, how much you are budgeting, why are you budgeting. Have a decision session done. It's a very key factor. Bring in stakeholders which are directly involved, but one or two stakeholders who are not involved, but they will get impacted downstream. This is a very key aspect of bringing all these stakeholders together for a decision to be made. Now, this decision has been made, and experience says then everybody, typically, if it lets it goes through and passes the tick, things change in the company, right? Things go through cycles of business, sometimes good, sometimes not good. People change, they come up with different ideas. So this communication part becomes very important. See, in all this, what we are talking about, I have not till now touched about technology per se. It is all surrounding it, which is very important. And obviously, the selection of technology and why you make that is our responsibility. And be able to convince our stakeholders why this is important. That is our job. That is what we are paid for.
Fair enough. And I think, let's say you have made an amazing decision, came up with a amazing product, and with all that framework and the rule set which you have done. And after that, you have launched something. Okay. Now, the hard part is to make people use that, right? Where we call the adoption of the POC or the program which you have just launched, and you want to test that if it is actually going to work and give me that ROI which I'm looking into. How you see today, like adoption, because more of the people, so Gen Z are different, right? But if I talk about millennials and the older people who are in the industry from like 20-25 years, they are reluctant to change, right? How you see the adoption of the transformation which you are planning or doing?
Yeah. No, I think very, very valid point. Adoption is the key. And I think thank you for, again, asking a very pertinent question, because that's where it becomes a graveyard of new technology. Let me put it, you want to start everything, everybody is very gung-ho, but when the adoption doesn't happen, it very quickly goes down as, what, why, and then it hits your credibility to make further changes. Because the word spreads very quickly, right? We are all very interconnected in today's world. So your next set of things becomes a very problematic. So your adoption mindset should be also a very key criteria. You are not there, there was a business problem, you provided a technology solution and then just left it. You have to make sure how it is getting adopted. I'll give you an example. For example, in today's world, all the machines in a manufacturing plant are getting connected. Right, you are pulling a lot of live data coming in. You want to make a digital twin out of it so that you can manage and see the performance of the machine from anywhere, and also make a change from that digital into the actual machine. Now, this IoT, everybody talks about why it is important, and the manufacturing head will also be convinced. To some extent, the plant head will also be convinced, but the operator at the ground level may not be. Right? As you talked about, there are different levels of adoption within people, and I, give you a perspective. Though we think that the older generation may not be thinking technology-wise, I have seen that they have a huge common sense and experience comes in. That factor is a big lever in helping companies adopt. We think that, they would have a mindset, but that common sense helps. I'll give that, continuing with that example. A person with such a large experience said, it is very important for me to also know what is the stoppage time, what is the stop loss happening. That is all tied to operational excellence. So they talked about stop loss. Now think from that perspective, he has given me a very, very good point to tackle, to measure, and be able to bring an output. It is not easy from an operator point of view, right? They are, and they are very simple people. They need one screen where they want to work. So you have to adopt the system that way. You have to give the adoption point for them at the ground to make it simple for them that I'm not monitoring you. I'm just recording it for that if there is a planned shutdown which you have planned, and your supervisor knows, but the system doesn't know. Just enter it there rather than writing on a book, register physical. Just put it there on the system. So you start pushing there. Now the adoption comes that some people will adopt, some people will not. That's where the senior people comes in, who give kind of once they've seen the output, they will say that now bring the change that you will not be able to turn on the machine unless you put the stop loss.
Fair enough, yeah.
So that's where you get the senior stakeholder to come in. And because this is the experience they have seen the challenges because of that. So once I plug that in, see how beautifully the system has worked, right? So the adoption then starts taking on. Everybody sees the data. Nobody is afraid because nobody is penalizing you. But they are also saying, ma'am, I will not let you start the machine because of that, right? So then the adoption starts kicking in. And once the adoption starts, you have to build on it very quickly. Again, that speed of change has to be there, and you start showing the data. So there are now live dashboards which are showing, how the machine speed is, what is it doing, what is the temperature, and interesting things came out of it and so on. We had set a lot of alarms. Because the temperature increased at around 3 a.m., the alarms got generated. It went on the phone, email, SMS, everywhere.
Okay.
And they were able to, save that equipment. Otherwise, it would have gone beyond the threshold and it could have damaged that. And then you're talking about millions of rupees going down the drain. So that's where adoption starts helping. People want to see results. You give them results, keep talking to them, and then things will start changing.
Fair enough. And I think, amazing insights which I'm getting from you. I have one question related, because you just not only looking into technology, innovation, business analytics, but also security, right? And when you are in an organization, something you have built and it's, let's say, stable, then no security issues. But as you start with the changing the things, that comes with a lot of security concerns as well.
Absolutely.
How you manage that, right? So that is something which I would like to understand.
So I think this question again, brings back all what we discussed to a different dimension, but there is a connecting angle to it. Change. Now, change is, as everybody says, it's a constant. It is inevitable. We have been talking about digital transformation, which is a change. So when that change happens, from a cybersecurity point of view, and that's why it makes sense that it is under one person who's managing both, while keeping a wall between the two, because somewhere it has to join. So this, from a cybersecurity point of view, we have to be ready to enable and control, not just saying no, it cannot be done, because that age is going. Right? We can say that I am not willing to change, though I have to keep myself within the NIST framework or whichever framework I'm following, and whichever audits I need to compulsorily follow. So the patch management has to happen. Right? No questions about it. How can you improve it is a different thing. So with that, and this change point of view, with AI coming in, with Gen AI coming at this point of time, and maybe more powerful things happening. And as latest Elon Musk talking about 2026 AI, real AI. We have also seen earlier ChatGPT, Open AI talking about real AI. With this, as we know, the threat perception will change. So you have to anyway change. You have to use the same technology to protect yourself as the other people are saying. You will be using more aggressively to protect. So you have to also work in terms of protecting from technology and also build a point on cyber resiliency. I think, as we all know, it's a question of time. How fast you can recover, how minimum damage you can protect yourself is, I think, two factors which you should be constantly thinking about. Try to also have a numerical cyber risk as objective as possible. So if I'm bringing this change here, which variables will get impacted from my framework, NIST framework, or whichever framework perspective? What do I need to do? Do I need to have a shorter log? Do I need to have a bigger log? If I'm putting it on cloud, if my setup is there. So another important part comes in known as platform leverage. On the digital side, if you can do as many changes possible on a platform, let's say for it as it could be a BTMS, it would be an RTA, whatever. We're trying to make changes on a single platform. Yeah. There have been multiple platforms out there, but you are using the platform. So you are in a way into the setup and the platform you have already validated. You are now building on top of it. So the delta is what you are trying to protect because that's the change you have to bring in. But your base is set, right? You are not setting up another VM somewhere and, that whole, whichever place you are setting it up, how do you have to protect it again? That part you are taking it away. In my mind, I think that's where platform leverage is very important, which is bringing the change here, but also minimizing the changes which you have to bring on the cybersecurity side.
Awesome. I think you have quite a balanced it all, and that is what the responsibility of an innovator too. That innovation should happen in each and every aspect of it.
Yes.
Okay, I think it was great talking to you, Ajay, and my audience must be loving these insights. But I have a last segment where I will ask you to talk to my audience directly. When it's directly, I will say that, okay, if someone is watching this episode and he is going to start his digital transformation journey, or any organization who is looking into the digital first strategy, what are the things they need to look into or have in mind before starting that journey, or what are the prerequisites or best practices you will like to share with them?
See, whatever I'll say now is my learning, and there are different ways to do things. Those different ways can come from the learning from the audience as well. So I'll just share my perspective, but that doesn't mean there are areas of improvement which are not possible there also. So as we spoke about, have your leadership aligned, make a roadmap which is solving the business problem, show results quickly. So that means get things done through a framework which we talked about of lot of decision recording, different stakeholders involved, communication happening at a very frequent level, and start showing the data which the business is smart enough that they will latch onto it on its own. And therefore, with what is happening with low code, no code, you can also further enhance the envelope for the business to start doing things themselves and shorten the cycle of this change to you are doing. It is very critical. The time should be as short as possible for making a change. Break it up, do things quickly, start showing results. All the connected points will come out. Have patience and perseverance, and things will happen. So I think these things, if you keep in mind and keep as I said, I think stakeholders are very important. Try to bring in the platform leverage if possible from a technology point of view. There is a lot changing. You have to also protect a lot with AI. You have to protect what will be your enterprise data. Everybody is talking about that they will not learn from your data, but how do you still try to protect? My apprehensions are still there, but it's a thing which we have to adopt from a cybersecurity point of view, and also build onto that new AI thing which is coming and which will have a big impact in my mind. And therefore, this whole whatever we talked about will also change rapidly.
Okay. Fair enough. I think great advice, and I've learned a lot from you today. Thank you for being on the GB show, and I have something as a gift hamper for you. Thank you, for being on this, and thank you everyone. Stay safe. I'll see you next Friday.